Week 5 of the 2025 NFL season is here. The preseason is over, which means the regular season has officially begun. This is your only place to get your 14-leg, low-stakes, high-reward moneyline parlay. This is the Sunday Script. All right, everyone, welcome back to Week 5 of the Sunday Script. Last week, we went 9-6-1. So there's a tie in there. Some kissing your sister there. And last week was overall just a rinse. You know, we picked too many favorites last week. And I think we learned from that. But a big part of that is the preseason's over. Like Carm said last week, we're kind of shooting in the dark now, or then. But now I think we're shooting with precision. And I think we know, who's a fraud, who's legit, and who's just straight up cheeks. So with that, we'll start off Week 5 with the good old-fashioned Thursday night rinse. We're going to head off to Southern California, to whose house? For the 49ers versus Rams, another NFC West matchup here on Thursday Night Football. It is in LA, but that's going to be a pretty heavy 49ers fan show out there. There's going to be a lot of red over the blue. So I guess the Bloods will beat the Crips in that battle. But on the field, we got the Rams and the 49ers. Stat Patford last week is putting up stats, man. I mean, Stat Patford had time to throw. Throwing it to Puka. Puka's dialed. Devontae's still reliable. I know Nick's a big Devontae guy right now. And the Rams defense controlled Jonathan Taylor last week against the Colts as much as they could, which really helped them win that game. And of course, they get a little lucky because A.D. Mitchell just rinses and doesn't know how to hold a football. And, it didn't really go their way the way they wanted it to, but that's how good teams operate. So they come out with a win against what people are saying are a contender in the Colts. And then on the other side, the Niners, Sock Dirty's still hurt, it looks like. They're coming off a short week, and they're already in hospital beds showing up on Thursday night, right? Michael McCorkle is hurt. Brock Purdy's hurt. I don't even know who their third stringer is. Do they bring Kaepernick back? Maybe. But 3 turnovers for the 49ers really did them in. Ricky Pearsall gets hurt and not from a bullet wound this time. And Kyron Williams should have a good game against this Rams run defense. Against the 49ers run defense, considering what, Travis Etienne did. It is a divisional matchup. Those are tough, but we're going to take whose house? Rams' house this week on the Thursday night rinse.
Well, you guys know that was my favorite game of the week last week.
It was.
Because the Indianapolis Jones fraud check was in progress, and now it has been completed. So we'll talk about him more later, but I just want you to know that the Rams are legit, and Daniel Jones played a legit team. And what happened? He rinsed. It's over. So the Rams complete the Daniel Jones fraud check. I will say Colts made it a lot closer than we thought it was going to be. But the Colts or the Rams still look legit. Defense looked good. A couple explosive plays for the Colts here and there, but defense still looks good. Don't get fooled by the box score. I always say. More importantly, as Tim had kind of touched on, the Rams are overall still healthy. Pookie and Tay look phenomenal. Stat Padford inflated his stats. We told you that was going to happen. Daniel Jones had some stat padding as well, but we'll get into that.
That's always the case.
Yeah, that's always the case. I said that too. But Rams overall still healthy. Kittle's out. Bosa's out. Pearsall's out. Juwan Jennings got obliterated. He maybe plays, but if you watch that game, you saw him get lit the fuck up. Probably broke all his ribs, so we'll see what happens. I believe their left guard is also dealing with some injuries. So like Tim was saying, I don't know what they're feeding those boys over there, but
tofu.
They're feeding tofu
and peas.
vegan diet.
Yeah,
or something.
tofu and peas.
Those boys are getting injured. And on top of that, Sock Dirty is not 100%. He was not 100% last week. Go back, check the receipts. I told you that they have 2 injured quarterbacks. They're going to pick who's less. Sock Dirty was the guy last week, but I mean, shit, who even knows if he makes it all the way through this game? His toe was bothering him a lot, and I think that contributed to their loss. He also threw 2 picks, mediocre percentage. I think it'd be foolish to not pick the Rams. Personally, Rams are -5.5 favorites at the time of filming. I think this one could get ugly for SF. I think their team is decimated right now in terms of injuries. Yeah. And, you know, every week you run the risk of having more of those injuries. So Rams are looking good. We're going to lock in the Rams on the Thursday night rinse. And we're going to move over to another rinse, another international rinse. The Vikings -3.5 with the Browns in London. You know, the Vikings disappointed us last week. If you guys tune in every week, you know that was a good old-fashioned Sunday script rinse. Put too much faith in the defense against MVP Rodgers. Your pick's coming back, Tim. Mm-hmm. But the Vikings have just really been struggling on offense. Outside of that Bears game, they really haven't been able to get a lot going with or without JJ. Carson Wentz, 3 picks, 1 not his fault, but you know, two definitely were. The Browns, on the other hand, as we're talking about the Vikings struggling on offense, the Browns have a very good defense still. Yes, they got beat 34-10 by the Lions. I'll say it again. Don't be a box score enthusiast. That was a much more competitive game than that score dictates. The Lions have a phenomenal offense. I'll give it to them. But that game was 28-10. Until the third quarter or so, or fourth quarter. And the Browns also have an emerging young stud in Quinshon Judkins, who is now going to be running against a bottom 8 run defense. They're bottom 25% for the Vikings in run defense. Their overall defense has been good, but that could be a place to watch because Quinshon's been going off. Reports are also looking like Elite Joe Flacco. You heard it here first. Elite Joe Flacco is very likely to not play this game, not start this game. If he plays, I will bet a side bet that he gets benched. So we'll see if one of the young QBs, likely Dylan Gabriel, is able to inject some life into this offense that has been stagnant outside of Judkins. But like I said, the Browns, I think, are going to be able to lean on their defense a lot. They got great cornerbacks, Denzel Ward, and then Myles Garrett is coming up against a banged-up O-line. That's a big contributor for Minnesota's struggles on offense, is their offensive line. Banged-up O-line, backup quarterback versus the best edge rusher in the NFL.
Yeah. Easily.
That's a bad matchup. I think if the Browns are able to get something going on offense, I think it's going to be like a 1st to 14, 1st to 20 takes this one kind of game. Browns are definitely going to cover 3.5. But here on the Sunday Strip, we think they're just going to outright win.
Yeah, and Ryan Kelly and Brian O'Neill get hurt. So the O-line is a little depleted for the Vikings already, and then you got Carson Wentz just rinsing. So, I mean, the Steelers got after Carson Wentz last week. The one thing that could bite us in the ass here, because we're going to take the Browns, right? The one thing that could bite us in the ass is the Vikings being adjusted to the time zone. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, these international games are just a fucking rinse. I mean, we're sick of it. We're over it. They're too early. I mean, I don't know why we just can't play all the games here. You know how we feel about that, so I won't harp on that too much, right? But it's looking like Dylan Gabriel's going to start, so Kevin Stefanski's got to go back on his word, so he's not a man of his word. He also needs to start Dylan Gabriel, or else he'll lose his job. So, some politics there as well. But, you know, he also said that Dylan Gabriel was a supercomputer. So, maybe they throw Dylan Gabriel in and he computes and you know, they get going there. I mean, I've been down on Carson Wentz. I don't know why the hell we gambled on Carson Wentz last week. That was so dumb.
What do you always say? Maybe he got fixed by Cock.
Maybe he got fixed by Cock.
But he didn't.
But we don't think he did. Myles Garrett might feast out in London. He might feast on some bread and beans, toast and beans. Whatever those fuckers eat out there. And, Browns are the dogs here. We're going to take the Browns. The dogs have been doing pretty well in Europe. And I know, dog-wise, us taking the Browns, Nick kind of spearheaded that movement. So, Nick, what makes you think that the Browns can win this game out in London this week?
Well, normally I would take anyone else besides the Browns. I mean, Browns belong in the only place they belong, which is the toilet bowl, not the Super Bowl. But with that said, we've been seeing a lot of the dogs winning as soon as it goes to the intercontinental rinse, which is a huge problem. And Tim brought it up earlier. We've been seeing the dogs do quite well. I mean, we saw it against KC. We saw it last week again with against the Vikings. I think the Vikings' only advantage is they've been playing overseas, but I think the Vikings will be a little bit more concerned about where they are because this is a game that the Browns are more eager to win than the Browns are more willing to lose. I think the Browns are going to take it all the way and make more than the stain on the toilet where they belong.
That's a great point, Nick. We're a little down on the Vikings right now, and even when JJ comes back, I don't think that they're going to be able to pick it up from where they left off last year. They might be missing Sam Darnold, and that might come and bite them in the ass. So we'll have to see on that. But we're going to move out of Europe, thank God, and get back to the States where this game belongs. And we're going to head to Indianapolis for an AFC matchup here, Raiders versus Colts. So, we'll be straight up. Geno looks awful.
Yeah.
And that's such a shame. It's such a shame because Geno can be elite when he wants to. I think a lot of the issue there with that is Brock Bowers isn't healthy at the moment, and they have a lack of weapons. And then Colton Miller gets hurt, and then their O-line's kind of depleted now. And the one bright spot they had, of course, against the Bears was Ashton Genty popping off. But, I think Geno's going to have a better game this week, right? I think it's going to be tough to go into Indianapolis, though, and take one away from the Colts, right? And, I mean, the Colts are an AD Mitchell rinse away from maybe beating the Rams, right? Possibility of beating them. A way better chance than when you just drop the ball and fumble it out of the back of the end zone like a doofus. I mean, come on. I mean, you throw the tape on, and you make fun of him if you're Kevin Stefanski, right in front of the whole team.
Yeah, the whole team meeting.
Maybe do a couple Fortnite dances on him or something, and just call him out in front of the whole team. And part of the reason they lose too is because Shane Steichen's just a rinse lord as well. I mean, they should have lost that Broncos game, and then they have 10 players on the field when Poo-Poo Shatwell takes it 84 yards to the house, and the Rams win that game. So you don't have your full team on the field when it matters most. Right, but we think Jonathan Taylor should have a better game. I know the Raiders kind of stopped DeAndre Swift last week, but the Bears' run game is horrendous. So there's not really much to go off of with that. And if Jonathan Taylor goes, this team goes. Daniel Jones was only good when Saquon was really hustling and making plays for him. And Daniel Jones likes to dink and dunk and just get his stats inflated. He's the real stat Padford. I know that's not, we can't really mix that name in with Daniel Jones, and everyone's riding Indianapolis right now, but we're going to take the Colts still. I do think, Colts money line here, I do think that this is going to be a closer game than people think, though. I think Geno has a better game this week in Indianapolis.
Well, I sure as hell hope so, because holy Geno rinse, dude. Yeah. 3 picks in the first half. That was getting ridiculous. Like Tim said, the one bright spot that they have is that Ashton Genty game, albeit I think the Bears have the 30th or something ranked defense, run defense, excuse me. So I was expecting him to have a breakout game. I'm pretty sure I said that week 4. Max Crosby was feasting though, all in Caleb's face that night. That was another bright spot. I'd be happy if I was the Raiders coaching staff. But really, I think the Raiders' problem is they need to figure out what they want to do on offense. I mean, you're limiting carries to your first-round pick, who's really shown that he's the only guy that can really do anything on offense. Brock Bowers is still hurt, and, Geno is just throwing the rock all over the place to the other team, part of which I believe is from Chip Kelly. I think Chip Kelly doesn't know what the hell he wants to do, what he wants his offensive scheme to be, and he's putting Geno in a lot of bad situations. Then Geno's trying to make a play, and he's just throwing the ball away. Geno needs to have a comeback game this week for sure. But back to the Colts, outside of Daniel Jones inflating his stats, you can go back and watch that tape. He probably had 150 passing yards that were run after catch. I'm not hot on Daniel Jones. I will say the Colts as a team now, I'm safe enough to say that that's that team is probably a playoff team now, maybe win a playoff game team now if they all stay healthy. Raiders come close to beating the Bears. Special teams, 3 sides of the ball. It's not over till it's over. Bears squeaked that one out, but who cares? Even if they do beat the Bears, I'm much less impressed with them beating the Bears than the Colts keeping pace with the Rams pretty well. Outside of that, Adonai Mitchell, mega fucking rinse, dude. I will say that play did look a lot worse in real time than on the replay. It looked like he was like shrugging off the tackle and trying to get the ball back in bounds and kind of fumbled it and tried to stretch it out. I don't know. It doesn't really fucking matter to me. I think if you're a pro football player, you don't throw the ball out of the back of your own end zone. So that's a mega rinse. Maybe they win that game, but who's to say? You lost. We're locking in the Colts, though. Better team overall. Raiders got too much to figure out. Here's a rinse for you, or what was going to be a rinse, but now is shaping up to be a interesting game because they finally started Jackson Fart, who we were worried about on the Sunday script, but Jackson Fart found a way to get it done. We'll talk more about the Chargers later, and maybe why they rinsed that game. But on Jackson Fart's side, Jackson Fart was working with a lot of short fields. His defense was really keeping him in that game. Giants defense played lights out against Chargers team, who might have been a little bit beaten up. But I think Jackson Dart's still unproven. But you got to say they made the right move over Dangerous. And we were saying that before the Cowboys game.
Yeah,
I was saying start him against the Cowboys because now you're gonna have to play the Chargers and the Chiefs and they get the Saints and stuff. But they'll figure it out. They're better off with Fart, that's for sure. Way better than Dangerous. The Saints look like they're, getting something going. Saints are at home, which is a big one, playing in the Superdome. But Bills' defense hasn't been great, so maybe we're seeing a little more from the Saints because they're building up, and they also, kind of came at an intersection with the Bills' defense that's declining. So we're not going too much off the box score, but, Saints were in a pretty competitive football game up until the fourth quarter. Really up until Baby Food Eater decides to have Chris Olave throw Spencer Rattler a touchdown pass on his 3-yard line.
Some babies trying to get cute.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Just trying to get too cute. Just dude, you'll figure it out. You can punch the ball and you don't need to do this stupid trick play. Because that was going to be a go-ahead score, and then he ends up throwing a pick, and, who's to say? Superdome's a tough place to play, and Jackson Dart has not played a whole lot of NFL football, and you pair that with the Saints team where they know this is, we're going to win one this season because the road to 0-17 might be ending soon. They know that this is one of the very few games in their schedule that is winnable for them. I think that the Saints, Spencer Rattler's played a lot more. Spencer Rattler's been taking a step up, and they're going to be playing in Nolans. It might be a tough one to sneak away. Giants opened up, I believe, as a -1.5. Lots of money came on them. Saints are now -1.5. So we, as much as this might surprise you, are going to lock in the Saints to end the road to 0-17 this week at home.
Yeah, our scripties might be a little surprised by that because you know how adamant I've been about how bad the Saints are and that they're going to go 0-17. However, they have put up some good games against some good competition, besides completely getting, manhandled by Seattle. But the Saints defense, held pretty good through the first 3 quarters against Josh Allen. Okay, and this is MVP Josh Allen, not Little Toot Jackson Fart.
Yeah.
Everyone's glazing Fart, and he didn't really play that well. I mean, it's a spark that he provides, right? But at home, with short field position, a lot of the time, this is a lot different than going into the Superdome, I think, in your second game. And like Carm said, it would have been a different game if Chris Olave didn't rinse.
I think they still lose though.
They probably still lose. Like they're not on that level at all.
Yeah.
Right. But the biggest thing here is that the Giants are losing Malik Neighbors for the season, and that's
that's
a real heartbreaker for them because that's a crutch for Jackson Fart to rely on. He had like I said, Fart had an okay game. The Chargers didn't show up, and we're gonna take the 1-16.
There it
New
is.
Orleans Saints.
The 1-16.
We're gonna take the 1-16 New Orleans Saints. I don't see a rookie quarterback going into the Superdome and winning. Spencer Rattler has looked a little better. I will say, Little Rattle. You've impressed me somewhat a little bit, and I think the baby food eater is going to indulge in a bunch of Gerber food because he's going to get his first dub.
Yeah.
And I think instead of beer and suds in the locker room like they do for celebration, they're going to be throwing around baby food. So, we're going to take
let's go
we're gonna take the
Saints.
Saints. Yeah, we're gonna take the Saints. A little switch it up here on the Sunday script for week 5. And that's what we like to do. We like to keep you on edge. Okay? Because we know you're going to keep coming back, and we appreciate you doing that.
But it shows we're not biased either.
We're not biased.
Because we don't just shit on teams just to shit on them. We shit on bad teams, and we praise good teams, and we switch it up every fucking week.
Yes. And this is kind of a part of this, too, this next game here. Texans versus Ravens. Well. Lamar Jackson, you rinsed again. Congrats. You got paid and you stopped trying. Your hamstring tightens up a little bit. You tell Harbaugh to take you out of the game because you can't stand losing to Mahomes because he's so much better than you. This team is more hurt than the hospital bed 49ers. Their D tackle's out. Roquan's hurt. Their cornerback is hurt. I mean, their whole defense is hurt. And then we're getting a Cooper Rush game here because Lamar's going to be out 2 to 3 weeks. So with a limited Lamar, the Texans D-line should be able to dominate. Will Anderson should have, maybe a couple sacks here against Cooper Rush. And the Ravens are going to be in a 1-4 hole, which is crazy to think. You beat Cleveland, congrats. You pound the dog pound, congrats. But the Texans are also, they put up 26 points against the Titans, who might be the worst team in the league. Who might be the 0-17 team that we have going forward.
Yeah.
Going forward. That might be the case there.
The race to 0-17.
But with Cooper Rush in this game and how depleted their roster is and just how hurt they are, I don't think this is a great game for C.J. Stroud because I think he still has a lot to improve on. However, I do think that the Texans are going to go into Baltimore this week and catch a dub against the purple and gold. So we're going to take the Houston Texans here to stay alive in the division because that's important. This is an important game for them.
Yeah, and at the time of writing, the Texans were a 3.5-point dog. Spread went from -7.5 to before the Lamar news to -3.5 for the Ravens, also before the Lamar news.
We were going to take the Texans regardless.
I was just going to say, Texans are now, I believe, favored -3.5. But we were planning on taking the Texans at +3.5.
Yeah.
Because Lamar, either way, you're playing a really good defense. Honestly, the fucking Texans have a legit defense. I think DeMeco Ryans knows what he's doing on one side of the ball. You're going to pay a really good defense with injured Lamar or now Cooper Rush. So we were liking that matchup anyway. Nick's right. Tim's right. Lamar got paid too much to care. I mean, you get paid $60 million a year. What's a Super Bowl?
His mom's his agent.
Yeah. So I think this one will be close. And the only reason I say that is because even with the bruised and battered Ravens defense, the Texans have not found a way to put anything together on offense. That Titans game was 0-6.
Yeah.
They kicked a lot of field goals that game. That was at halftime, 0-6 at halftime. Real snoozer that one was. And I just think that the Texans won't be able to figure anything out on offense, that the backup quarterback is going to be able to stay in this game in Cooper Rush. So we'll have to see if they'll cover the spread or not, but we don't fucking bet the spreads here. We're going money line on the Houston Texans. Nick wants to talk on Lamar because, as I was saying earlier, Nick always says this. Nick was the champion of this before the season even started, that people just get paid all this money and stop trying. So do you think he quit because he stopped, like, because he was losing, or do you think he got paid and then that's when the decline really started for Lamar?
I think you're absolutely right. I feel like as soon as the money comes in, the quality goes out. I mean, we've seen this with so many people. We've seen it with Fields on the Bears, eventually getting sold off to the Jets. We're seeing a number of people just come straight into the league, get their paycheck, and all of a sudden shit the bed. I mean, it's not hard to see. You can see it across the league. A lot of people go to the league with all this guaranteed money, and then all of a sudden, they're not what they expected to be. Well, maybe it's because they lost their incentive. I mean, they wanted to become a rich and famous football player, but all of a sudden, the money hits their bank account, and now who the hell cares because they've already gotten paid.
Yeah, no heart.
Yeah, there's no heart.
No heart.
There's no heart amongst a lot of football players these days.
Do you think Nick Lamar actually got hurt? Because, I mean, he's going to be out 2 to 3 weeks, or do you think he is trying to take a little rest here while he's still getting paid?
Well, if they have any hope, Lamar definitely just took the weeks off to kind of recuperate and heal, maybe spend some of the money he got. But I would say that if they ever hope to do anything good, he takes these 2 weeks off and really does something with it and brings them back to the game because it hasn't been showing up ever since.
Well, thank you very much, Nick. With that, we are going to get into... Sorry, we're picking the Texans. We're going to get into our next game, which is an interesting one. This was a highly debated topic right up before this show started.
Right up to the last minute.
Right up to the last minute.
That's the effort we put in for you
We had to
scripties.
redline this one for you guys, for you scripties.
Yeah, that's the effort we put in for you guys.
We'll get into it. The Broncos at Philadelphia. Broncos poop on the Bengals. Unsurprising. Not unexpected. It was very expected. But Bo Picks does it again. That was another pick. However, once again, box score, fellas. They're at their goal line with like 10 seconds left. And he forces a throw trying to run up the score to like 21-0 at half. He's just fucking around trying to make something happen. I'm not really going to count that one against him. I don't think he makes that throw outside of that situation. But at the end of the day, you're still throwing interceptions. You need to clean that up if you want to be competitive against an Eagles team, Super Bowl winners. But on the other side of the ball, the pass game's not looking good either, fellas. 0 completions for Jalen Hurts in the second half of that football game. Almost rinse, give up some plays to the Buccaneers, but they squeak it out. We were thinking about the Bucs last week, but we had a feeling. At certain times, you wonder like one of these teams are gonna lose. The perennial Super Bowl contenders. One of them's going to lose. Like, they always have a blemish on their record. The last team that went almost undefeated was the Patriots back in, 2009 or something. So eventually, all these teams are going to lose. We're thinking that this is the week. The Broncos come off some pretty close losses. They come off ref ball to the Colts. They're competitive with the Chargers. And the Eagles just haven't played a complete game of football yet. They're either struggling with the pass game, struggling letting up too many points on defense. The only team that's been consistent has been their special teams.
Yeah.
Now, is that the X factor against two good defenses, two good offenses, and the Eagles rinse us? Maybe. But then don't sports gamble, because we're taking the Broncos.
Yeah. 3 phases of the ball. 3 phases of football have really been prevalent this year, and special teams guys are really earning their money. Maybe they should be getting paid more than Lamar. But all jokes aside. But, Sean Payton struggles in September, but as the month will change here tomorrow when we get into October, they're going to ramp it up, I think. They lose, like Carm said, on a last-second field goal reference to the Colts. They lose in Los Angeles to the Chargers in a divisional game, which is a tough opponent. And the Chargers are pretty damn good, we think. And we'll talk about them later, more in the show here. But Philly has come away with some wins, but does that luck stop? Saquon had 26 yards last week. A.J. Brown is doing his best impression of Kyreek and Travis Kelce, complaining about his targets on the internet. Twitter fingers. all that money to cry. And I personally just have a feeling that this is the week the Eagles lose. Call it a gut feeling. Sometimes you just got to go with your gut.
Yeah.
And sometimes your gut speaks to you, and you just know where to go. So we're going to ride with the Broncos here. Broncos Nation, let's ride. To go into Philly, they're going to ride into Philly and catch a win. It will be a close, entertaining game, but we're going to take a money line here.
Yes, sir.
With that, we're going to get into Cowboys versus the Jets. The Cowboys have kind of turned their season around with that tie, which for them is like a win, kind of.
Fucking
Yeah, we'll get into that. Well, we don't have the Packers
We don't have the
about,
Packers.
so we'll get into it now.
Yeah.
Because the Packers aren't a bye. Good thing the Packers and Falcons and Bears and Steelers aren't a bye because they've all been rinsing us.
Yeah.
So that also kind of guarantees that this week is a lock. So we're glad you tuned into the Sunday script. The Cowboys are coming off that tie to the Packers. They almost win that game because Matt LaFleur does a pretty bad job with the time management there. But, without CD's nuts, George Pickens steps it up, but he's never been consistent. The week before he rinses against the Bears and has a deflection for an interception. I don't see him keeping up the consistency, but they luck into playing a Justin Field-led shitter team that has no discipline, turns the ball over like it's nothing. Justin Fields is horrendous. Justin Fields has the athletic ability of Michael Jordan, but the IQ of a potato. He can't comprehend a defense. He turns the ball over way too much. Oh, my God, but did you see that athletic play Justin Fields made? That 47-yard run? Yeah, I saw it about 8 times as a Bears fan. But then what happens is he comes back down to earth, has to throw the ball, and then rinses. So as long as Justin Fields is the quarterback for the New York Jets, we're going to take the Cowboys here. We're going to take Jared's team to go into MetLife, and we're going to hope that MetLife, or Met Death, I guess, that's a little corny joke for you here, but Met Death doesn't tear someone else's ACL, because we know Dak is pretty prone to that, but Dak's having a better year. Dak's having a good year, coming off that Achilles injury, and is Dak back? I think this is a game that he inflates his stats a little bit, and people start talking about the Cowboys as maybe a wildcard team going forward. So we're going to ride with the Stars here.
Yeah, we're going to take the Cowboys mainly because, first and foremost, the Jets are poverty.
Yeah.
They always have been, always will be.
Yep.
A poverty franchise. I don't think we picked the Jets once last week. And they rinsed us against Simple Jack, of all people. So if Simple Jack's going to tune you up, Dak Prescott probably also will. I hate to say it. He's been having a good season. He's just getting in these close games, these fucking ties, losing, because he's putting up 40 points every game, and their defense is rinsing. But I don't think they're going to rinse against Justin Fields. Justin Fields cannot throw the football. And then, like Tim said, he makes these big runs, and then people are like, gets the crowd amped up, but, he's not productive from the position. You got to be able to throw the football. It's the NFL. He can't. So I think they should have just kept Tyrod in, personally.
Yeah, they should have kept Tyrod in. Yeah.
The Cowboys get into this weird tie with the Packers. Like
kissing your sister.
Yeah, just rinse. But I would say the Packers would maybe still beat the Jets, or the Packers frauds. Who knows? They're not playing this week. But,
too bad we can't talk Bears and Packers on this show, but
yeah,
that's okay. We'll wait till
Packers
next week.
may be frauds, but I still think the Cowboys are better. Putting up 40 points every fucking game versus the Jets defense, we'll lock them in. Nick, should there be a tie? And how do we stop ties if no?
No, I don't think there should be any ties in football, even in the preseason. I mean, I know as soon as you get later on, they doing the double overtime, triple overtime. They make sure the game is played right.
Playoffs.
But, I mean, this isn't soccer. They're not playing soccer out there. We're not ending with ties. I mean, what kind of un-American aspect doesn't allow winners to win and loser to lose? I mean, I feel like our biggest problem right now is that, we allowed ties for so long that we should just play out the game and see who's the better contender at the end of the day. I feel like a lot of people would enjoy that extra football. They'd like to see whether at least for the Packers, I mean, going into the game, I thought the Packers, just like the announcers for the game, were Super Bowl contenders. And then I go to bed, wake up, and find out that they tied What's that garbage? I want to see a winner at the end of the day, and ties means everybody loses, including you, the fans.
That is facts.
Amen.
You're goddamn right. Stayed up 4 hours watching that fucking game. No resolution.
Just to go to bed with no emotion.
Yeah, just nothing.
Just
rinse.
fat nothing burger.
Pure rinse.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Getting into our... Oh, I can leave that playing. Getting into our...
You can play the whole show.
Getting into the rinse of the week. We got the... Speaking of Simple Jack... The Dolphins versus the Panthers. Dolphins come a bit alive. Mike McDaniels heard me talking shit, saying he was gonna get fired. Now he's playing a little bit of football. Dolphins looked pretty good, but the Jets are poverty, as I just went over, so it doesn't really surprise me. However, we said that the Panthers had a fluke game against Phoenix. And that they were going to rinse. And they rinsed against the Patriots. Like I said, they're like, oh, congrats, you shut out the Falcons who can't score any points. Like, at least we've seen the Patriots score. And they did. And shit on the Panthers, as expected. Do we want to even, like, talk about Bryce Young? He's still not really doing anything.
Bust.
Achan, though, on the Dolphins had a solid game against, like I said, poverty Jets. But I think it was good for him to stretch his legs a little bit, and I think he'll be able to do the same thing against the Panthers. Not traveling that far, either team, so we're not really anticipating any jet lag or any of that crap like we do with the international rinses. I think this is just going to be a good old-fashioned ass whooping from the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins need to, even though they lost Kryreek, I think the Dolphins are still going to come in there. I don't think the Panthers are doing anything. Kryreek's out, but we're going to lock in the Dolphins.
Yeah. Carolina has no pass rush, and that kind of worries me going forward. I think Tua is going to dice them up a little bit. I think they still got Jalen Waddle. They still got A-Chain. They still got Darren Waller, Darren Waller has come back to life, and that has nothing to do with the fact that he did die for 2 minutes at one point because of his drug issues. But, the Panthers are coming off that stinker to the Pats. Panthers, Titans, those two might be contending for Jets. Worst teams in football. As we said, as week 5 rolls around, we're starting to really figure out who are the real shitters.
Yeah.
Panthers are definitely one of those teams. Mm-hmm. And say what you want, but the Dolphins, everyone's saying the Jets keep turning the ball over, but hey, someone's got to make those plays to have them turn the ball over. Right? So they're making some good punches, making some good tackles to have them fumble the ball, the Dolphins defense is. And, Dave Canales is out here for the Panthers calling himself the common denominator. So,
yeah.
Can you fire yourself, Dave Canales? Or what? Because you're basically just saying that you are the issue, when I also think it's your, 5'9" quarterback. Bryce Young is, by the end of the season, we'll have a definitive answer on if Bryce Young is a bust or not. And I think we're about 85% of the way there. There's no weapons on this team. They have no defense. This is the rinse of the week because we still think these are two bad teams, right? Mm-hmm. But like I said, I think Tua's gonna have a good game this week. He's gonna have a lot of time to throw, and he won't get touched, which is great for Simple Jack and his cranium. So we're gonna ride with the Fins here for sure. But Nick, Fins get a win here, right? Does this make you feel any better about your Super Bowl pick, about them going all the way? But the one issue is your main guy here, Kryreek, might have almost got his leg amputated. So what are we doing with that?
I mean, I've been saying this since day one. Dolphins elite. Everybody knows it. And I think that Hook Tua is behind the ball just means nothing but success. We see Kryreek leaving the game. Thank God, because now we actually get some of the unseasoned stars a chance to get the ball instead of Kryreek crying and going to the negotiation tent and trying to figure out his salary again. So I want to see Hook Tua really put the ball down the field, and I want to see some players I've never heard of run it home and show the enthusiasm that I was putting in since day one. Dolphins elite, Super Bowl 25.
Tell him, Ring. All right. With that, Dolphins Panthers. We are moving on to a good one. Our buddy Baker Mayfield versus Seattle at home. Seattle -3.5 favorites. But I don't know why, because Seattle does not necessarily play well at home. They've been a road warrior team. They were like 7-2 on the road and like 0-7 at home, something ridiculous like that. Bucks has a more explosive offense than the Seahawks. I think that's gonna help them out. I think that's what always helps Baker win these closer games. And this is where Baker shines as a road dog. I think the even with the injuries and stuff on the Bucks side of the ball. I think the offense is just a little more high-powered. Bucky Irving's looking really good. He's getting involved in the pass game. So we're going to go with the Buccaneers against the Seahawks to upset at home.
Yeah, we're going to make this our dog of the week here on the Sunday script this week.
This is like the third time the Bucks have been dog of the week.
Yeah, I don't really get it. I don't really get it. I was kind of leaning Seattle originally, but we kind of did further deep dive here, as we do.
Yeah.
For you guys here on the Sunday script.
It didn't make sense.
The one issue I do have is that's a long flight. It's a long flight. And then the Mariners are playing a game at the same time too, and that stadium's right next to. So they got playoff baseball going on. It might be electric.
But no one cares about baseball. Everybody knows that baseball is a chick-watching sport. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, it is football season. But, Emeka Ibuka is looking legit.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Evans might not play, but Ibuka's taken that spot as their number one, right? But JSN and Sam Darnold have a connection. The Seahawks are coming off of barely beating the rinse Cardinals and Kyler Murray, which worries me a little bit because Kyler's just throwing the ball to Marvin Harrison. He's just rinsing. And we'll get to them later, right?
Yeah.
But you should be able to capitalize on that more. Some stupid ref ball in that game, too. Classic Thursday night rinse. But, of course, we're undefeated on Thursday night rinse. So keep tuning in, and we will stay undefeated. If the Seahawks can get the rushing attack going, then that gets the play action involved for Sam Darnold, which he's elite at because he got fixed by Cock. But Baker, man. The Eagles are lucky that Baker didn't have a chance to really put on the Baker magic. Yeah. Because it was getting close there. It was getting close because, like we said, the Eagles kind of laid a turd in the second half there. But we're going to take Baker here. We're going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to make that trek out to Seattle across the country and get a dub.
Yes, sir.
But with that, we're going to move into an ad read from one of our sponsors, Sentence Enhancers.
This episode of the Sunday Script is brought to you by Sentence Enhancers. Words are tools. Some cut deep and other build bridges. In this book, it'll help you recognize new words to use, as well as help you improve your communication both at work and in everyday life. Buy Sentence Enhancers now on Amazon.
All right, we'll get right back into it here with the Titans versus the Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to get pretty lucky here because they're going to have wins against the Panthers, the Saints, and the Titans. Sorry, I gave it away so early on who we're going to pick, but I think you kind of know who we're going to pick based off listening to the show already.
Yeah.
Cam Ward, if we keeping it a buck, we ass. So that's pretty telling, I think. Their head coach is giving away play calling duties already, which is kind of the telltale sign of a failing team. Mid-season, that's never a good look when you're giving away your play calling duties. Calvin Ridley can't catch the ball, and Tony Pollard is a complete washed-up bum. You got a rookie quarterback, Tennessee, even though Kyler Murray will probably rinse somewhat. Or this could be the game Kyler Murray really does. Like, Kyler Murray has a really good game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then we're going to look back and go, well, it was the Titans. So Kyler Murray should have stuck to baseball when he was drafted 9th overall in the MLB draft. A lot of baseball talk today.
Yeah, it's in the air.
Go Cubs. But yeah, we're going to take the Cardinals here. I mean, this is a pretty easy pick for us. They came back against the Seahawks there at home on the Thursday night rinse, but I mean, the Titans are just outmatched against every roster in the NFL, we think. So the 0-17, the road to the 0-17 for the Titans continues.
That does continue
this week.
It's a perilous journey.
Yeah,
but you'll keep it.
Yeah.
Cardinals come off the Thursday night rinse. Did they come back? Was there a lot of ref ball?
There was.
I'd say a little bit of both. Marvin Harrison rinsed hard. twice, but he came back when it mattered. Let's hope for Marvin Harrison. This is a turning point in his career, and he stops rinsing. He looked like he had a come to Jesus moment in the end zone after he caught that touchdown pass after rinsing so hard. Dude, the interception,
Awful.
that was not Kyler Murray's fault, dude.
No, but we'll
Kyler
blame
Murray
him.
threw a perfect pass. They hits dude, and he just throws it right into the defender, right into the safety coming over the top. Such a rinse. But he came back clutch, helps him on the comeback. They still rinse anyway. And I swear to God, that little garden gnome, Kyler Murray, there was a play, he rolls out to the left, and the edge rusher's coming off like this, and hands up and everything. Kyler Murray rinses the throw because he can't see over the guy. It's like third down. Goes to the sideline, and I read lips really good. And he goes, he's like a foot taller than me. And his height is a serious detriment. Like, you think we make fun of him for being a garden gnome, but I watched it in real time rinse last night. That being said, Titans, your road to 0-17 is still intact. We're going to lock in the Cardinals this week.
Saints should be thanking the Titans.
Yeah, Cardinals defense also looked solid at times, even with the, injury depth. Is it good, Nick, for your quarterback to say to the media that your team is ass, quote unquote ass?
No, I think absolutely not. I mean, the quarterback is essentially the frontline manager of the administration that runs the team, and you kind of want your quarterback to be understanding and cool with the team while at the same time gets the mission accomplished. And seeing the quarterback already completely given up, taking his bag, and not focused on the game, it gives you no fight left in you. And as a player on the team, if my quarterback said that we're ass, then I'm just gonna collect my paycheck and hope to get traded the next year.
No, I agree. You can't be saying that.
You're
shit.
right. And if people back in the day would have said that, like, some vocal people like Ocho Cinco or like Tio would have said that, they would have been all over them. But since it's, cool, hip, new times, and the quarterback can just say we're ass, and people are like, that's a leader.
I don't
think so. I really don't.
It's a defeatist attitude.
I think it is too. But enough on the Titans Cardinals, and
they're gonna lose.
Carm will get into this next game here.
Next up we got the Commanders at the Chargers. Chargers -2.5. I think they should be favored more, but both of their tackles are out, and we don't know if they're gonna play. That's a big issue. Now, are people counting Jaden Daniels being back that heavily? Maybe. I think he's still going to be playing hurt. All these guys are playing hurt, and he comes off a knee sprain 2 weeks later. I think they just want to get Mariota out of there, but he's been holding down the fort, I think. Sherbert's line, like I said, is destroyed, but I think that the coaching staff over there is going to be able to move some people around, make some adjustments, and get Sherbert protected. Maybe draw up a quicker pass scheme. They'll figure it out against the Commanders' defense, who is not that great. Marshawn Lattimore is apparently the most picked on cornerback in the league. He's old. He's washed. He's going to get rinsed by old man Keenan. It's going to be a geriatric battle out there. Or Laddie McConkey. He should have been playing in Ireland. Anyway, McConkey, Allen, probably going to light it up. I think the Chargers should be favored more heavily. They do have some injuries, like I said, but, Commanders, Scary Terry's out. No run game. I don't think they're going to get it done. Lock in the Chargers at home. Bounce back.
Yeah, this is a long trip, so the senior home Commanders better get their Kindles charged up and get off their 4 p.m. dinner and hop on the plane there and get on over to L.A. to prepare for a loss, even if Jaden Daniels is going to play. I don't know. We don't know if Scary Terry is going to play. Fraud. Got his bag. Stopped trying.
Yeah.
Classic. They still got Debo. Debo made a great play last week as well. So Debo is still very active in this offense.
Good. Debo's been
Debo
well.
is still very active in this offense. They still got Zach Ertz, but with Joe Alt out, we think that's kind of a concern. But the Commanders' defense doesn't scare us, at all. At all. I mean, they barely beat the Giants. Packers put up some points on them on a Thursday night in Lambeau, granted, right? But, and then the Falcons, Penix makes you look like, or how down we are on Penix. You know, he throws the ball away to Carolina the week before, and then he makes the Commanders look awful, right?
Yeah,
After
I
he
wish
makes-
they weren't on a bye
after he
because
makes-
we're down on Peanuts.
I know, after he makes the Panthers look really good. So the Commanders are going to have, I think, a okay mid-year here, maybe a 9-8 season, a little bit above 500. Can maybe make a playoff push here, but we're gonna ride with the Bolts here at home this week, and that's gonna move us into Lions versus Bengals. I could go ahead and just tell you who we're gonna pick, but we'll get into it a little bit here. I mean, the Lions are starting to look like the best team in the NFC again. They got it done with all three sides of the football, 3 phases. There's levels to this shit, right? And they get a punt return touchdown. Their offense didn't die down at all. Hutch was all over the place, right? And if Hutch was all over the place against the Browns, granted Joe Flacco is a statue. Jake Browning is going to have a tough time. Jake Browning is really making me eat my words, and they don't taste good. The Bengals are just bad. Jamar Chase is getting frustrated. He's going out on Twitter now and complaining. 13 points in the past 2 weeks for the Bengals. Not good at all, right? And they're looking lost without Joe Burr. They might have to sit Joe Burr all year because by the time he gets back, they'll be out of it completely. So they might want to give Joe Burr just a year off and let him nurse his little turf toe, his big toe, put it in some ice. Maybe get his toe sucked on or something. But we're going to ride with the Lions here. We think Detroit is going to pound Houday.
Yeah, we got to lock in the Lions here. Lions have been looking really dominant, I hate to say it, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Ben who? Dan Gamble. It was him all along, the mastermind. Ben Johnson, they don't need him. Or maybe they stole the drives. Who knows? Their offense is still looking slick. Still looking slick on offense. They got into a little competitive game, like I was saying at the beginning of the show, with the Browns. It was more competitive than it looked, but then they kind of just, Dan Gamble ran it up on them at the end. So they pooped on them, little shit stain on the Browns. The Bengals, I mean, just bet against them until Joe Burr comes back because the Bengals have not looked good on any side of the ball. Jake Browning, man. Ooh-wee, man.
Jake Downing.
He has -7 career receiving yards. Jake Browning does.
We have more receiving yards in the NFL.
Yep. Than Jake Browning. Yeah, just bet against them until Joe Burr's back. I'm sorry. They're looking disjointed. They need to get it together. All right. Locking in the Lions. And with that, we are going to get into a divisional game. Patriots at Bills. Bills -7.5 favorites. But the Bills almost rinse against what we were saying were the 0-17 Saints. They almost rinsed against the Dolphins as well in their last divisional game. So can we trust the Bills to not rinse against the Patriots, who are coming in hot? Special teams X factor for the Patriots. Special teams has been scoring for them. The Patriots come in, sneak off a punt or two into the end zone, and rinse the Bills at home. It's possible. Stephon Diggs is finally getting active. I think he's mad about his brother beating the shit out of that guy in the elevator. So maybe he's trying to cover that up or something. I don't know. By just playing football really good. But the Bills could lose a game soon. They're due for one. But we don't think it's going to be this one.
No.
We're going to lock in the Bills at home. May not cover the 7.5. This might be closer than we think, a gritty divisional game. But the Bills at home, don't really want to bet against them. Like we always say, Josh Allen's going to MVP this season probably. So let's lock them in.
Yeah, we don't really want you to overthink this one. The Patriots are probably a couple years away from beating Josh Allen at all. That division's still going to run through Buffalo, we think. Like Carm said, Stephon Diggs actually showed up, which good for him. Cardi B's going to need him too.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that baby on the way. I wonder how him and Offset are going to get along. But turnovers weren't an issue for the Patriots this week, which really helped them out. Week prior, they had completely rinsed and given the ball away 5 times to the Steelers, which we thought was maybe the Patriots giving the ball away, but maybe it was the Steelers actually making plays, right? But Steelers aren't playing this week either. Unfortunately, we won't get to see Aaron. But this is like you said, don't overthink it. We think the Bills are just gonna, I wouldn't say run away with this game. They will cover, I think, right? But we're just gonna take the Bills at home on Sunday Night Football. This is a pretty easy pick for us, we think. But with that, we'll get into somewhat of an interesting game, we think. Chiefs are going into Duval to face Liam Cohn and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Duval.
So the Chiefs, they went. That was a must-win game for them against the Ravens. Honestly,
Yeah, it was.
It really was for their morale, for their standard of championship football.
Yeah.
I guess everyone's got to welcome the Chiefs back to being relevant, even though they always were. We shouldn't have picked against them last week. Vegas was fooling us.
Yeah,
and
that
we
was
got
such
played.
a rinse.
We got played, but we're smarter because of it now. It helped that Worthy was back, but Mahomes was spreading the ball around looking like his old self, right? And the defense played great against Lamar. Lamar had one of his worst games. But the Jags defense is playing really well, too. So the Jags defense is significantly better than the Ravens defense. Duval might be rocking. Jacksonville might be demolishing Bud Lights out there
Maybe.
in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
Probably
maybe.
will for sure. That's their go-to there in the pool, in that dirty pool. I wonder what happens in that thing.
Duval.
God, can't imagine.
Who knows?
Travis Etienne is having a fantastic year, and Travis Hunter doesn't even have a touchdown yet. I think this is the game we see a Travis Hunter touchdown on Monday Night Football.
Side bet for you.
I know, on Monday Night Football. I think Liam Cohn wants to put it out there for the national audience and get Duval rocking. And, apparently, Robert Saleh saying that Liam Cohen's stealing signs.
Yeah.
And then he tells him to keep his fucking name out of his mouth, right?
Yeah.
Tells Robert Saleh, keep my fucking name out of your mouth. And I like that fire. I do. The Jags I'm starting to build more confidence in the Jags. However, the Chiefs came back pretty well against the Ravens. And with that, we're going to take the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. This will be an entertaining game, we think, though, unless Trevor Lawrence just rinses.
Yeah,
Always possible.
I agree. That's always possible. I've been saying Trevor Lawrence, he is good at times. The Jags could be legit if he just stops throwing picks. There's picks at bad times. Yeah, Liam Cohen trying to get big, but then you realize that coordinator was like four times his size.
Robert Saleh would kick his ass.
Robert Saleh was like literally four times
Robert
his
Saleh would
size,
kick
and then
his
he's like,
ass.
oh shit, never mind. But I guess he stood up for himself. I like the fire, his teammate or his players got a kick out of it. Jags look all right, but I think more importantly, the Chiefs are back. The Chiefs are back, dude. We know we were talking about the Ravens defense, but it clicked with Worthy coming back. I think he was able to stretch the field, open up the pass game for Mahomes, and he was able to get it done big time. And I've been saying as well, their defense is good. Their defense has been holding teams to very few points, bend don't break, keeping Mahomes in these games.
Yeah.
Offense is back. Rashee Rice is coming back in 2 weeks, so be on the lookout for that. We got to lock in the Chiefs. I think they're a better ran team than the Jags.
Yeah, and they had a good week for Nick. We know Nick's a big Chiefs guy, and they had a really big week for Nick, so we're happy for that as well. But with that, that's going to take us all the way through Week 5 of the 2025 NFL season. Like I said in the intro, preseason is over. So, I mean, we're making a lot better educated decisions here based off prior knowledge. There's only lessons. There's no such thing as losses, only lessons.
Yeah.
And we learn from them. This week is a lock, so we're glad you joined us. But with that, we're going to get into your guys' favorite segment here. We're going to get into our Week 5 takes. It can be about a player. It can be about the NFL. It could be about any narrative that you want. That's the fun and joy of it. But before we get into that, we're going to get into an ad read from one of our sponsors, Woodman's Property Management.
This episode of the Sunday Script is brought to you by Woodman's Property Management. Are you looking for some place to live? Do you want to live in the Midwest? Are you looking for something luxurious while still being affordable? Then Woodman's has the property for you. Go ahead online or down in the link below and check out Woodman's Property Management for all your rental needs.
So my take for Week 5 of the 2025 NFL season is, as much as we hate the preseason, they might need to go back to 4 whole preseason games. They only have a limited amount of padded practices. Training camp is pretty much just walkthroughs, coloring books, and nap time. And it's causing a lot of these special teams issues, I think. I don't think there's enough emphasis on the special teams these days, and that's kind of why these not miracles, right? But these blocked kicks, these punt returns are happening. And then the penalties are just ridiculous. A lot of motion penalties, a lot of false start penalties. The holds are always going to be there because it's a hold on every play. But unfortunately, there's not enough wear and tear in training camp, and there's not enough practicing for them to get it down and get the fundamentals right, which also means that the guys aren't building their bodies up to take hits. So they're getting hurt easier, right? There's a narrative, well, maybe if you run them into the ground, they'll be hurt by week 1. But it seems that that's not the case, and it seems that we need to get back to old football. We need to get back to two-a-days, padded two-a-days, where you're throwing up, bloodied up, fights on the field, real football.
And this week, my take is I'm tired of seeing players with this jewelry on like it's a fashion show. I mean, to get down to it, it's supposed to be a team sport. You're not walking the runway, you're running the field. There's a big difference between all this jewelry around your neck and what the ladies do out in Prague or wherever. I mean, I remember I was talking to a good friend of mine, explain when we were watching Justin Jefferson play, that if I was playing with him, I'd snatch his jewelry and throw it in the crowd, because you know what happens with that. It gets lost. It goes to the people that actually care about the sport, not the people that pretend to care and watch it. So, like, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see teams act like teams instead of focusing on the I in team. So my take is that the ladies playing football need to stop wearing their jewelry out and need to actually start playing the game.
Tell him, Nick.
We want to thank you for joining us for Week 5. And with that, we will go through our Week 5 picks here, the rundown on the Sunday script. Thursday night rinse, we're going to take the Rams. The London rinse, we're going to take the Browns. We're going to take the Colts. We're going to take the Saints. We're going to take the Texans. We're going to take the Broncos. We're going to take the Cowboys, the Finns, the Bucks, the Cardinals, the Chargers, the Lions, the Bills, and the Chiefs. And that is your Week 5 rundown here on the Sunday script. We hope to see you next week, where you will be significantly richer, and so will we. We'll see you next week on the Sunday script.